Hi, I'm Dr. Paul Haefner. Welcome to Sports Psych in a Minute, your weekly resource for insights and tips into the psychological side of equestrian sport. What I'd like to talk with you about this week is something that, quite honestly, I'm not sure I'm really going to be able to explain well. But here it goes. If you're watching this video, it means that I feel like I've at least given it a good shot. So I'm reading a book, The Alchemist, and for whatever else you might say about it, certainly is a book that's full of inspiration, things to reflect on in many, many different levels. But very early in the book, there was something that really struck me and had, I have to say, probably one of the bigger impacts on my horsemanship than anything else has in a long time. In the book, he tells a story of Narcissus, the myth of Narcissus, and he shifts it up, the author shifts it up a little bit. What he says is that after Narcissus drowns in the lake because he can't connect to his reflection, they come by and find, first of all, that the lake has turned to salt because the lake is shedding tears. And he asks the lake about the tears and the loss of spending so much time with that beautiful being, Narcissus. And the lake kind of responds incredulously, not really indicating that it really didn't see Narcissus as all that beautiful, and says something to the effect of, I'm weeping because I can no longer see my reflection in Narcissus's eyes. Now, I'll be honest with you, I really have absolutely no idea what the author meant by that, but the way that it really struck me has to do with what we do with horses. How many times have we talked about horses as a mirror? It's probably, from my perspective, one of the metaphors that I like the least. And there's a number of reasons for that. One of them being is that horses are sentient beings. They aren't passive reflectors of what's going on. But I do understand that when we're with our horses, that in their reactions and responses to us, we come to see something about ourselves. The thing that really struck me, though, was this idea that, are we mirrors for our horses? In other words, when a horse interacts with us, do they see something of themselves or experience something of themselves in the way that we react and respond to them? What has gotten me thinking about are two things. One is, how present am I really? How much of what I actually do when I'm around my horses is really a response to them and not a response to something that's swimming around inside my head? The other thing that it got me thinking about was this idea that we have filters, and that we take in information from the world and we respond to the world through these filters, which at very least shift or change the meaning of behavior in the world, and in worst can really be kind of like a thick smog, and that our responses to the world ultimately can be very different than a response to what actually, a realistic response to what actually happens. And what I began to wonder about is how many things that, how many of my responses to my horses are reactions and responses that are filtered through these things inside myself. So my challenge to myself this week has been to be a mirror to my horses. In other words, to react and respond honestly to them, and to react and respond to their behavior as it's presented to me. One of the things that happens for me in that context is that I begin to notice all these things that I know, have been taught, and understand to be so important. I notice the tries. I notice the horses reaching out to connect. I notice a horse being soft and offering things throughout my interactions with them, whether it's standing in the aisle or riding in the arena or out on the trail. So I would suggest you just give it a try. Ask yourself simply, are you a good mirror for your horse? How much distortion is there as you reflect what your horse offers you? Distortions and interpretations of their behavior that get filtered through our moods and our thoughts and our ideas, as well as the behavior that we send back to them as a reflection of our own kind of habits, or also our moods or our thoughts or our ideas as well. I'm Dr. Paul Haefner. This has been Sports Psych in a Minute. I look forward to seeing you next week.